The dog lunged again, teeth flashing, eyes wild, foam collecting at the edges of his mouth as his handler barely held onto the leash. Every officer in the training yard froze. The snarls of the massive German Shepherd echoed through the morning air like thunder before a storm. His name was Rex, and he was known across the department as the Untouchable. No one dared come near him, not even the ones who'd trained him. Once, he'd been the pride of the K9 unit. Now, he was a beast haunted by the ghost of a tragedy no one could erase. But what nobody knew was that his story wasn't over yet, because fate was about to send him a little girl with a broken heart, and together, they'd heal each other in ways no one could have imagined. Backhand index pointing. Right before we go further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love to change even the hardest hearts, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel RW Insights. Your support keeps these true, heart-touching stories alive. Rex hadn't always been this way. Once, he'd been the star of the city's police force, a strong, intelligent K9 who had saved lives and earned medals for bravery. His bond with Officer Mark Jensen was legendary. They trusted each other completely. But one fateful night, everything changed. During a drug raid, a gunfight erupted. Mark shouted for Rex to stay back, but the loyal dog charged forward to protect his partner. The bullets came too fast. Rex survived, but Mark didn't. After that night, something inside Rex broke. He wouldn't let anyone near him. He barked, growled, and attacked the kennel walls whenever anyone tried. The other officers pitied him, but no one could do anything. The department even considered putting him down. He was too unpredictable, too dangerous. But Captain Howard, an old friend of Mark's, couldn't bring himself to sign that paper. He gave Rex one last chance, a final month to see if anyone could reach him before the unthinkable decision had to be made. That was when a new volunteer showed up at the department's animal rehabilitation unit, a gentle, soft-spoken woman named Sarah Quinn. She'd recently moved to the small town after losing her husband in an accident. Her heart was still heavy, but she found comfort in helping animals heal. Every day, she worked quietly with abandoned dogs and rescued strays. And every day, she walked past the cage at the end of the row, the one covered in warnings that read "Do not approach." Aggressive. Inside that cage sat Rex, his golden eyes burning with suspicion and pain. Sarah could feel his gaze follow her as she passed. There was something in those eyes, not just anger, but grief. The kind of grief she knew all too well. One afternoon, she stood there longer than usual, just watching him. "You're not angry, are you?" she whispered softly through the bars. "You're just hurting." Rex growled low, his ears flattening. But instead of stepping back, she slowly sat down on the floor a few feet away. "That's okay," she murmured. "I know what it feels like to lose someone too." For weeks, Sarah didn't try to touch him. She simply sat there every day, talking in a calm, soothing voice. Sometimes she'd read books aloud, other times she'd hum little tunes. Rex wouldn't come closer, but little by little, his growls began to fade. One morning, she placed a small toy outside his cage, a worn tennis ball. He ignored it for days. Then, one evening, when the facility was quiet, a security guard caught sight of something through the cameras that made him blink twice. Rex was lying beside the tennis ball, his paw resting protectively over it. That was the first sign of change. But the real miracle came from someone even smaller than Sarah, a little girl named Mia. Mia was Sarah's 7-year-old daughter. She'd been quiet and withdrawn since her father's death, her once bright laughter dimmed into silence. Sarah had kept her away from the shelter, afraid it would be too overwhelming. But one warm Saturday morning, Mia asked if she could come help. She wanted to meet the dogs Mommy always talked about. Sarah hesitated, but something told her it might be good for both of them. When they arrived, Mia wandered the kennels, feeding treats and giggling softly as friendly dogs wagged their tails. Then she stopped in front of Rex's cage. "Why is he alone?" she asked. Sarah froze. "He's special," she said carefully. "He doesn't like people very much." But Mia just tilted her head and whispered, "Maybe he's just sad." Before Sarah could stop her, Mia knelt in front of the cage and gently placed a tiny pink ribbon on the floor. "Hi, doggy," she said in her soft, childlike voice. "You can have this. It used to be my favorite ribbon." Rex stiffened, watching the little girl through the bars. His ears twitched. For a moment, it looked like he might growl again. But then something strange happened. He didn't. Instead, he just stared. His tail gave the faintest twitch, uncertain but curious. Over the next few days, Mia insisted on visiting the shelter with her mom. She brought drawings she made at home, crayon pictures of dogs playing in fields, stick figures of a little girl with a big brown shepherd. She would tape them to Rex's cage and tell him stories about school, about how she missed her dad, about how she wanted to be a hero like police dogs when she grew up. Sarah was terrified at first, watching her daughter sit just inches from an animal no one dared touch. But what she witnessed left her speechless. Rex never barked at Mia. Not once. Weeks turned into months, and their strange friendship deepened. One morning, when Sarah unlocked the shelter early, she found Mia sitting cross-legged by Rex's cage, softly humming a tune. Rex was lying right next to the bars, his big head resting against the steel, eyes half closed in peace. Mia had her tiny fingers slipped through just enough to touch his fur. Sarah gasped, but Rex didn't move. He just let the child's small hand rest on his neck. It was the first time in over a year anyone had touched him. From that day on, everything changed. Sarah began working closely with the police department to reintroduce Rex to gentle human contact. Mia became a part of his therapy sessions. She would sit by the field as Sarah trained Rex with simple commands again. Whenever Rex succeeded, Mia clapped and cheered, her laughter echoing across the training yard. Slowly, the aggressive dog everyone feared began to return to life. His growls turned to playful barks. His rigid stance softened. He wagged his tail for the first time since Mark's death.